Paul Keating. He's on the ABC right now. I was listening to him. He's getting interviewed about the China threat, you know. As he spoke just now, I remembered why I love him so much still. Someone just asked him, you know, how can you be so sure, Mr. Keating, that China is not an invasion threat? And he replied, it's because I've got a brain. Oh God, I miss all of that. So that's it really. I just wanted to pull over to say that. But he's saying lots of funny things, you know. I miss all that colour, you know. A part of why I love him is because I didn't have a mortgage back then when he had the recession we had to have, which we may well have had to have. I don't know, I'm not an economist. But part of why I love him is that, you know, combined with the fact that he was funny and colourful compared to what we've got now. Oh, look, he's going on about that. And, you know, I'm broadly in agreement with him, you know. Is China a threat? China is, doesn't want war, as far as I can tell. You know, peace is in China's interests because they're winning the peace. We only have war, I think, is the only time we have war is when we're not winning the peace. You know, I'm pretty sure Russia recently wasn't winning the peace, so it had to have a war. NATO was coming up against it, so the peace was going badly for it, so it had to have a war. I had someone at a cars actually saying, oh, you know, like, I knew where my cars was coming from. Yeah, and it is frustrating, you know, when you're seeing everybody die. How can we avoid this? What do we do? You know, and why do we have war? Well, we have war because the peace isn't working out for someone. The peace is working out really well for China at the moment. So they, you know, I agree with Paul. So why would they want a war? You know, if there's a war between China and the West, for example, it'll probably be started by the West because the peace is not working out all that well for us just at the moment. It often doesn't work out exactly as we want it in the West. That's why we start so many wars. Hardly anyone else does, actually. I think we start all the wars just about. You know, we're a scary mob. We're the scariest people in the world. But no, I'm not saying that I'm in favour of, you know, that I'm pro-China or pro-West or whatever. But, you know, the world order, I suppose it's tracking in the right direction for China. So, look, people say it's just ridiculous to go to war, but Napoleon would have suggested, because he wasn't into war, he was into the conditions for peace. And Napoleon would say, well, if the conditions of the peace that one is in at any one time isn't to your liking, what other option have you got except to go for a war? And you might say, well, why not collaboration and negotiation, all that sort of stuff? Well, that's not how humans operate, because after all the collaboration and negotiation, all that sort of stuff, the peace, you know, what if the peace is still not to your liking? What do you do then? War. You know, war is over if you want it. I'm not sure. I actually wasn't going to waffle then, but I did, because I do. But back to Paul Keating. He's I thought he was fun back then. I didn't have a mortgage back then during the recession that we had to have. That helped. And I didn't lose my job either. A lot of people did. That's part of why I loved him. There was a stage show, a comedy about Paul Keating. I think it was, yeah, it was called Keating! And it's just a satire on Paul and everybody else around at that time. Fantastic. And I rang my Paul, Natalie's husband, Paul Byrne. No, Nicole organised this. And she said, Paul Keating, and she knew I was a fan. I get obsessed by all sorts of things, but I was obsessed by Paul at the time. And I'm apolitical, but yeah, I really liked John Howard, and I really liked Paul Keating. It's not really about which party, you know. And Nicole bought Paul Byrne and me 2 tickets to Keating, the musical. That's what it was called. Keating, ! The musical. And we went along at that, is it the Comedy Theatre or whatever? No, what is it? That one on the corner of Lonsdale and Exhibition. And we went along and saw Paul. And I haven't heard much of him lately, but I just heard something from him now. And someone asked him a question, and how can you be so sure? And he said, because I've got a brain. It's a good answer.